The shrill wail of police sirens split through the calm afternoon on Willow Street, slicing right through the quiet like a blade. Two uniformed officers strode up my front steps while I stood frozen on my own porch, utterly bewildered. In my hands was a small brown package I'd just picked up from my doorstep. Across the street, a woman with a perfectly sculpted blonde bob was waving her arms and pointing at me like she'd just cornered a criminal mastermind. Her face twisted in righteous fury. "That's him! That's the thief I told you about!" she shouted, marching toward my house. Right behind the officers. I saw him stealing that package. He doesn't even live here. The taller of the two officers placed a hand near his holster. A simple gesture that made my stomach knot. "Sir, we need to see some identification," he said firmly. "We've had reports of package theft in this area." I looked down at the box in my hands. My full name and address printed clearly on the label. "This is my package," I said slowly, trying to steady my voice. "This is my house. I just moved in last week." "That's a lie," the woman interjected sharply. Her voice climbed to a glass, shattering pitch. "I'm the HOA president and I know everyone who lives here." That's when it hit me. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was my official introduction to Brenda, the notorious HOA president the previous homeowners had warned me about. And apparently, it had taken her less than a week to make me her newest target. I'd only been in Pinecrest Estates for 7 days, a postcard-perfect suburban neighborhood with manicured lawns, white fences, and rules stricter than some courtrooms. The moment I signed the closing papers, my realtor gave me a sympathetic smile and handed me a thick 3-inch binder labeled Pinecrest Estates Homeowners Association Guidelines and Regulations. She'd warned me that the HOA president was intense. I'd assumed she was exaggerating. On my second day here, as I was unpacking boxes in the driveway, I noticed a woman standing on the sidewalk across the street. Arms crossed, eyes narrowed. Not a smile, not a wave, just pure disapproval radiating from her. Later that same afternoon, I found a printed notice taped to my door, reminding residents that personal belongings must not be visible from the street for more than 24 hours. No signature. But I didn't need one to know who had delivered it. For weeks, the neighborhood's social media page had been buzzing about a rash of package thefts, porches stripped of deliveries in broad daylight. Everyone was on edge, and Brenda, self-appointed neighborhood watchdog, had taken it upon herself to be the front line of defense. Daily security updates, warnings to stay vigilant, and posts urging people to report anything suspicious. I'd scrolled past them casually. Never in a million years did I imagine I'd be the suspicious individual. That afternoon, I got a notification on my phone, package delivered. A set of custom coffee mugs I'd ordered as a housewarming gift to myself. I stepped outside, grateful for something cheerful after a week of living out of boxes. The package sat neatly on my welcome mat. I bent down to pick it up, then heard the sharp crack of a door slamming across the street. "Hey, stop right there!" Brenda's voice cut through the air like a siren. She stormed toward me, smartphone held out like it was a badge. Her camera was already rolling. "I've got you now," she declared. I knew someone new was behind all these thefts. I straightened up slowly, the box still in my hands, completely thrown off. "Excuse me, this is my package. I live here." "A likely story," she sneered, tapping furiously on her phone. "I've been watching this house. I know the Henderson family lives here, and you're not them." "The Hendersons moved out last month," I said carefully. "I bought the house. My name's David Lee. This package literally has my name on it." I turned the label toward her. Brenda didn't even look. She folded her arms with theatrical drama. "I'm calling the police. Don't you dare move." She stepped back, phone all ready too. Her ears speaking loudly enough to rattle every window on the block. "Yes, 911, I need officers immediately. I've caught the package thief red-handed." Within minutes, neighbors started drifting out of their houses. Some leaned on porch railings, Others crept closer. Brenda was performing like she'd been waiting for this moment for years. She gestured wildly, describing me in vivid detail to the dispatcher, as if narrating a true crime documentary. "The police are on their way," she announced with triumph, turning to the growing crowd. "Everyone, stay back. He could be dangerous." She pointed dramatically toward me. "This is exactly why we have to stay vigilant, Richard. Susan, he's the one stealing our packages." I raised my voice just enough to be heard without sounding threatening. "I'm not stealing anything. This is my house. I just moved in. The label has my name on it." A few neighbors exchanged uncertain looks, but Brenda's presence was a tidal wave. She was the HOA president. I was just the new guy. When the police cruiser finally pulled up, lights flashing, Brenda practically skipped to meet them. 2 officers stepped out, one tall and rigid, the other shorter, with a more even expression. She launched into her speech like a prosecutor in court. "Officers, I've been monitoring this situation for weeks," she declared, chest puffed with self-importance. "Packages have been disappearing all over the neighborhood. And today, I caught him in the act." She shoved her phone toward them. "I took pictures of him taking the package. This isn't his house. I know everyone in this HOA. He doesn't belong here." The officers approached carefully, eyes scanning the scene. "Sir," the tall one said, "we've received a report that you're taking packages that don't belong to you. Can we see some identification?" My pulse thudded in my ears, but I forced myself to stay calm. "Of course, officer, this is all a misunderstanding. It's moved in last week. This package has my name on it." I slowly reached for my wallet, making sure every movement was clear. Brenda jumped in like a heckler at a rally. "He could have a fake ID. The real homeowners are the Hendersons. They've lived here for years." "Ma'am," the shorter officer said evenly, "please let us handle this." I handed over my license. "David Lee, this is my current address. I can show you the closing documents inside." The taller officer examined the ID. "The address matches," he said slowly. "But that doesn't explain the theft reports." "I just moved in," I repeated, steadying my breath. "I don't know anything about the stolen packages except what I've seen online." Brenda shoved her phone forward again, swiping to a new screen. "Look, pictures. I caught him. And here's the email I sent to everyone last week." The description matches him perfectly. On her screen was an HOA alert describing a suspicious male in dark clothing seen near porches during deliveries. And, apparently, I fit the description. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. A small crowd of neighbors had gathered on their lawns, arms folded, eyes fixed on me. I could feel the weight of their stares, some suspicious, some unsure, like I was already on trial in the court of public opinion. "Sir, we're going to need you to come with us to the station to sort this out," the taller officer said, his hand inching toward his cuffs. That was it. The spark of indignation hit me like a jolt. "Officers, please," I said steadily, holding the box out carefully. "Just look. At the package, it has my name, David Lee, and this address printed right on the shipping label. I also have the order confirmation on my phone. And if that's not enough, my doorbell camera recorded the delivery." I gestured to the sleek doorbell camera mounted beside the doorframe. The shorter officer stepped closer, inspecting the label. My name and address were printed clearly on the box. "Can I see that email confirmation?" he asked. I unlocked my phone, pulled up the receipt, and handed it over. The timestamp matched the delivery time to the minute. The dimensions matched the box. "What about the doorbell footage?" he asked. "Of course," I said, finally feeling the tiniest breath of relief. I opened the app, tapped the most recent clip, and handed him the phone. The footage played clearly. The delivery driver setting the box on my porch not even half an hour ago, and then me stepping outside minutes later to pick it up. The shorter officer nodded. "Everything checks out. The package is his." Brenda's face flushed crimson. That doesn't prove anything. He could have. I don't know. He ordered a fake package to cover his tracks. He fits the description in my email. The taller officer exhaled slowly, clearly running low on patience. Ma'am, what exactly was the description? A man wearing dark clothing, she said with a dramatic flourish. Look at him. He's wearing a black t-shirt. The officers exchanged a look. Even the taller one, who'd been tense a moment ago, seemed unimpressed now. Ma'am, the shorter officer said, his tone calm but firm. Do you have any actual evidence linking this man to any thefts? Brenda squared her shoulders like someone stepping up to a podium. I'm the HOA president, she declared, as if it were a badge of authority. It's my responsibility to protect this neighborhood. The theft started right after he moved in. That's not a coincidence. By now, even more neighbors had gathered. A ripple of murmurs moved through the crowd, uncertain, uneasy. Then an older man stepped forward from the back. Brenda, he said gently, I think you might be mistaken. I saw the moving trucks last week. The Hendersons told everyone months ago that they were selling. This young man bought their house fair and square. He turned to me with an apologetic smile. Sorry about this, son. Welcome to the neighborhood. Brenda's face twisted between rage and humiliation. Don't you see what's happening? He's fooling you all. Call your wife. She confirmed the Hendersons wouldn't just. That's enough, the taller officer snapped, his patience finally gone. You called us out here on what appears to be a false report. The evidence clearly shows this man lives here and the package belongs to him. But the package thefts, Brenda sputtered. Filing a false police report is a serious offense, he interrupted firmly. So is interfering with an investigation. I strongly suggest you return to your home now. The shorter officer turned toward the crowd. Folks, there's nothing to see here. Please head back to your homes. Brenda stood rooted in place, cycling through several shades of red, like a malfunctioning stoplight. Finally, she jabbed a shaking finger in my direction. The HOA will be reviewing your case, Mr. Lee. We have rules about the kind of people who can live here. Ma'am, the taller officer said sharply, his voice now carrying steel. That comment is dangerously close to harassment. Go home now, or this conversation takes a different turn. Brenda's jaw clenched. With a glare that could have cut through concrete, she spun on her heel and stormed across the street. Her door slammed so hard, the decorative wreath hanging from it tumbled to the ground. The officers turned back to me, their expressions softening. They apologized for the ordeal and assured me a report would be filed to document the incident, just in case there were any future misunderstandings. As the patrol car rolled away, a few neighbors approached, suddenly friendlier now that the smoke had cleared. They introduced themselves properly, shaking my hand, welcoming me to Pinecrest Estates. One woman leaned in and whispered, "You're not the first. She's done this before." 3 days later, I opened my mailbox to find a stiff white envelope marked Urgent HOA Board Notice. Inside, a neatly typed letter informed me that an emergency HOA board meeting had been called to address recent security concerns and public disturbances. The meeting room was packed, more neighbors than I'd ever seen gathered in one place. And it didn't take long for the spotlight to turn on Brenda. Residents spoke up one by one, stories about false alarms, harassment. Neighborhood surveillance has gone too far. The board members listened, stone-faced. When the votes were cast, the result was clear, 6-1. Brenda was officially removed as HOA president for abuse of authority and conduct detrimental to community harmony. But the real bombshell came at the end of the meeting. The vice president cleared his throat and pulled up security footage from another neighbor's camera system. The big screen flickered to life, and the entire room fell silent. The video showed Brenda, same blonde bob, same purposeful stride, walking up to porches and taking packages. Not once, not twice, but 3 separate times, always when no one was home. It turned out the so-called neighborhood guardian had been staging the thefts herself. Why? To justify her power grab and push the HOA to buy an expensive security system from her brother-in-law's company. The betrayal sent shockwaves through the room. Brenda was stripped of her position immediately. Worse for her, she now faced serious legal consequences. Package theft is mail theft, a federal crime, 5 years in prison, fines up to $250,000. When the authorities confronted her with the evidence, Brenda's face went pale as ash. "But I'm the HOA president," she whispered weakly. "This is my neighborhood." Not anymore. Subscribe to HOA Conflicts for more.